Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the Hot Toys 6-scale action figure of Chewbacca from Star Wars A New Hope. Now, this packaging is a little bit bigger than your average packaging. Here it is next to Han Solo, so you can kind of see the difference. This is a pretty tall figure. It's just under 15 inches tall, which, it should be, in this scale, it should be towering over other 6-scale figures. Now, this is how the fur looks just coming out of the package. And one of the things I like about this fur in general is you can fluff it up if you want to. If you want to mat it down, you can do that too. You can pretty much adjust his fur however you want to make it look, It's a little matted in the shoulder area, but if you want to be a fluffer, you can fluff this guy up. One thing I want to talk about is the head. Well, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the head. But one thing I want to talk about is just the fact they went with the dome version, which is how he looks, in A New Hope, where it's kind of swept back, gives his head kind of a dome look. He has, more styled hair by the time you get to Return of the Jedi. But I dig this look. It's what makes this the A New Hope head. And I gotta give Hot Toys credit. This is a hard thing to achieve because it's not a sculpted head the way other figures would be. It's essentially a thing of fur with like a mouth and nose on it, and this could be really hard to achieve Chewbacca's head shape and overall look, but I think they did it admirably. I think his eyes are a little too sunken in for my taste. However, I was expecting them to look more sunken in. By the time I actually got this in hand, I'm surprised like how well his eyes actually register. In fact, even though they are sunken in, I really like how his eyes look. The nose looks good, the mouth looks good, but I'm really happy with the swoop of his head, the fact that his eyes actually do register. I thought they were just going to be like these kind of dark sockets, but they're not. Here's a close-up look at his mouth, just so you can see the paint on the teeth and the tongue, and you can just see how the hair is applied above the upper lip and how it meets the nose. Also, here's a closer look at the eyes, which I think are really well painted. The little actual eyeballs look good. If I have any complaint about this, I just think the face is a little too dark. If you look at the rest of the body, they did manage to capture the dark and light fur that Chewbacca has, because he is a mixture of dark and light. But his actual face has quite a bit of like light colored hair in the front. It's almost kind of blonde. They managed to capture the light hair going around the side and the back of his head. I just wish they'd managed to capture that in the front, because as you can see how just kind of dark brown it is. But they did manage to capture the shape of his head really well, because he did have kind of a high forehead, a high rounded sloping forehead, and they did manage to capture that. His snout looks good. Overall, they managed to capture this head really well, which I thought would be really hard because you're working with hair here on a face. So huge props to Hot Toys for that. The rest of the body looks good too, as far as the mixture of dark and light brown, and also the length of the hair. It's not too short. It's the right kind of shag. Now this body has a true type body underneath, so the articulation on this is pretty basic as far as what you've come to expect from Hot Toys. Good range of motion at the arms. You can really get there's no limitations at the shoulder or elbows at all. Standard as far as the stomach, the crunch, the good range of motion at the legs. Nothing really gets restricted. There's no pants here to restrict anything. If there's anything that's kind of limited, the ankle joints are a little tight for me, but other than that, it's pretty good, including head articulation, which gets us some pretty expressive like Chewbacca poses, as far as, him like tilting his head all quizzical, like, meh. And like upper head yells and stuff like that. So articulation on this, pretty good. The first of his accessories I want to show you guys is his little man purse, his satchel, which has a nice little leathery kind of feel to it. And there's nothing in it, but you could squeeze it and there's just nothing but air. But it is finely tailored, and the ammo pouches look really good. They all are removable. I don't feel like remove. Well, I guess I could try to see. Look, there you go. We can take out one. But yeah, looks really good overall. The leather effect looks nice. He also comes with an alternate pair of hands. The regular figure comes with like relaxed hands. These are grip hands, and those are good for gripping his bowcaster, which looks freaking awesome in hand. The details on it are very nice. The little tubing there, the little sights or whatever they are on top, including that little clear and red little dingus right there. You know, as someone who's been collecting like Hasbro and Kenner figures for Chewbacca his whole life, having something like this that's all nice and detailed in hand, really, really cool. And it comes with a nice little strap. And then there's also, you know, some little wrist pegs, and also this headset, you know, for when he's actually, you know, in the cockpit piloting the Falcon. If you want, you could have this dangled down, or when the cockpit comes out, you could, you know, tuck this into wherever you need to. It also comes with this figure stand, which you can just plug this little arm into, right into that little section. You can also unplug it and take the nameplate off if you want to take the base with other Star Wars figures and kind of connect them to make like a bigger square base. Alright, now it's time to put on Chewbacca's little satchel, which just, you know, slings over his shoulder like so. And there you go. Now he properly looks like Chewbacca. Now one thing I want to show you guys a closer look of is his hands, just so you can see the details within it. The fact they gave him little black nails. The little sculpt for the edges of his knuckles look good. Same thing with his feet. His little Wookiee fifis look good. Yeah, and if you guys want to see the back of him, just to get a better look at what we're dealing with the fur, there's his Wookiee butt and the back of his Wookiee legs. Again, nice transition between the dark brown and the light brown. Now I'm just going to try to take off one of his hands and switch it out with the grip hand. Just pull some of that fur back from the edge of his little nub there. And yeah, that pops on pretty easily. Here's a look at Chewie and Han next to each other, not just to give you guys a scale comparison, but just to show you guys Han and Chewie, two buddies next to each other, as they should be. Now I do want to point out that his little headset is comically small, like compared to like his head, so I won't be putting that on because I feel like I'm just going to mess up his hair. Also, speaking of hair, this Hot Toys does come with a little brush. The little flat end is for like tucking in the hair and laying it flat. The other end is for brushing it up, brushing it out. So that's nice. I like this figure a lot more than I was expecting. Based on the photographs, I had my doubts about how this figure would turn out. But having it in hand, I think the fur looks great. You know, I had my doubts that Hot Toys would achieve a fully furry figure, especially with the head and face, but I love it. Also, the articulation on this is pretty strong. It allows me to get him in some pretty cool little action poses. The legs move really well. He didn't get into a lot of like action poses as far as like kicks and stuff, so there's not a lot that I expect you'd want to pose with Chewbacca, but it's nice that he can do more than just stand upright. He looks good here with the bowcaster. I love the head tilts. I really like the head, surprisingly. I thought I was going to hate it. Overall, this is a really strong figure, and I'm really glad I added it to my collection, and I can recommend it. I think it's, you know, worth the retail cost. So thanks for watching, everybody, and follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff.